This Halloween, you could conjure your own immortal gang of ghoulish gourds with some spray foam sorcery. Store-bought foam pumpkins aren't just bland, but $40 a piece? That's pure evil. You could buy a whole buggy full of real pumpkins for that. So I found the perfect specimen to clone. Ain't it a beaut? Oh, sorry. And I started cooking up some creeps. But will this task be a trick?
Why is this happening?
Or a tremendous Halloween treat?
To pull this off, I'll first need to transform this bad boy into a silicone mold.
Here's a quick glimpse at how this ritual works. You'll need a large cauldron, and for this demonstration, pretend this is our silicone and that this is our pumpkin. I'm going to suspend the pumpkin slightly off the bottom of the cauldron. You'll see exactly how later. We're only casting one half of the pumpkin, so once the silicone is mixed properly, it'll be poured into the cauldron until it rises to the halfway line, then left to cure.
That's the theory anyways. I've never done this, so it could be a disaster.
Unless you happen to find a perfectly sized cauldron, you'll probably have to extend the height of it to rise above the pumpkin's casting line. This can easily be achieved by cutting strips of cardboard and generously hot gluing them onto the top rim. Don't forget to create a little nook for the pumpkin's stem. We want the pumpkin to fill most of the cauldron, leaving only a thin space in between, but big gaps like this here on the back are going to be a major waste of silicone. So we need to remedy that by walling off that space within the cauldron and sealing it off well with lots of hot glue. Even the pumpkin's booty hole will end up consuming unnecessary amounts of silicone, so I sealed that off too. And yes, I hate myself for saying that. But now we do have a closer fit within the cauldron. The question is, how much silicone will this spell require? The way I estimated was by lining the cauldron with a plastic shroud, placing in the pumpkin, and then slowly pouring in water until it reached the halfway casting line on the pumpkin. Then I poured that water out into a measuring device. Looks like mine is about 2,250 milliliters, which equates to about 76 ounces. Kind of a bummer because the silicone I bought is available in 70, which I bought initially, so I had to end up buying 2, and I could have just saved myself 15 bucks from the get-go, but oh well.
So yeah, the silicone is a little pricey, but it's better to have too much than not enough. And now I can actually cast my tiny pumpkins if I want. Come here and check these out.
Look, I grew these myself and I am super proud of them. But what I'm not proud of is what I'm gonna have to do to my perfect pumpkin. Before casting, I needed to reduce the weight from this like I found inside. Now I can suspend the pumpkin off the bottom of the cauldron with miniature vampire stakes. They're sealed in place so this corpse remains still in its grave.
You know, I'm feeling pretty confident about this, but what do you think? Will it work on the first try or be an utter failure? Looks like I'm not even close to my fill line, so I guess I'll be using the rest of that.
So I was off on my estimation, but that's not the only problem. The silicone's toil has caused some trouble.
I'm in a tight spot.
I had to contain the pumpkin fast.
Okay, I think that's past my line now.
Oh, this is a disaster.
Okay, I think that's right at about the line that I had originally drawn. Not gonna touch this anymore. Well, that was definitely interesting. A little bit of a hiccup with the pumpkin wanting to float up, but I think that we got it taken care of pretty well. Also, just the underestimation of how much silicone I would need. I think what had happened is that when I estimated earlier, the pumpkin was on the bottom of the bowl, and now I have it lifted slightly, so that little bit can make a big difference, but I think it's gonna be okay. We'll just wait and see in the morning. Well, from what I can tell, this has actually worked out. It's just a shame that I had so much waste. I tried casting this one here in a panic, and that clearly didn't work out too well. I do have one of the small pumpkins in there that I think is gonna work, But yeah, let's see what this thing actually looks like. I don't want to destroy it just yet. Come on. No, this is just stupid. I might have to get my wife to come do this. I mean, what the heck, dude? Wow. That looks better than I could have even imagined. I mean, like, yeah, the pumpkin itself is cool, but look at the stem. So much detail. I am blown away by this, but now it's time to put it to the test. Hoping some of that will expand up the sides, but I'm just gonna kind of use a glove to encourage it. But this is just a test, so we'll see what happens.
While that cures, let's check out the tiny pumpkin mold.
This feels like that time that Ace Ventura came out of that rhino. If you know, you know. Oh. Well, there we go. So I did have to come back in here and kind of touch around the edges and fill a few little gaps there, but not too bad. I think I can improve upon my technique on the next half. All right, gonna try to get this demolded and another one cast before I go to work. It's what you call time management. Oh, cool. Not bad. So it is a little tricky to get out, but I think the results look great. And I don't mind the little gaps and cavities. I think that just gives it like an aged, decrepit look. And check out the stem, man.
Although that was a success, seems there's a little learning curve with demolding the tiny pumpkin. But no matter, let's cast our second half.
So instead of paying $40 for one foam pumpkin, I paid $100 for one. But remember, the goal here is to make multiples, and the price goes down with each one we make. We're just getting started.
We're now set for about 20 pumpkins. A great tip I discovered is that spraying the mold with water before using the foam and after decreases the cure time exponentially. But of course, a new issue arises.
Why is this happening?
The cast won't fit together.
Look, I don't know what has happened here, but some of these earlier casts have warped. Compare it to one of the ones that I did today, and you can see how much more scrunched up it is.
So my plan of just casting halves and putting them all together later won't work, which means I have to put them together as soon as I get the second half out of the mold. The way I'm showing you here was my initial method, and it certainly works. But I tried casting a half and putting a cured one on top of that, and the results were witchcraft level seamless. Compared to these initial casts, you can see a major difference. Let the viewers know below if this was a wickedly good tip. As for the duds, I decided to Frankenstein them together, and my wife suggested adding a plastic skull inside, and thus the split-faced jack-o'-lantern was unborn. Leave a comment if you'd like to see a full process video on how I made this. I also got impatient with demolding one and completely ruined the surface, but I thought it could make a cool rotting relic, and turns out it did. What do you think? I ended up with 21 unique pumpkins that averaged about $8 a piece, which is 80% cheaper than store-bought. I even had a few relatively successful small casts. Sort of. But now's where the fun truly begins. I used various shades of orange spray paint, and once dry, I hit the stems with a mixture of darker browns before adding in some highlights for a very natural and aged look. What really takes these to the next level is a shadowy acrylic wash to accent the decrepit textures. But of course, the best part of all is that they carve like a dream, with pumpkin carving tools that you probably already have on hand. So there you have it. 20 plus immortal gourds that you can use year after year. I hope this has inspired you to conjure a spooky pumpkin patch of your own, and I'd love to invite you back next time to make strange things.